reports have come out in the last day out of reporters from the 76ers that the 76ers are interested in trading Tobias Harris this summer, which I find a bit odd. I'm not sure how much I quite frankly believe it, given the fact that it is people within the 76ers that are reporting it. It seems that it has some level of credibility, and maybe the 76ers are really looking to hit a reset and really looking to acquire some cap flexibility and move on from Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons this summer. Problem being, in most of these trades, they're probably going to have to take back pretty much as much salary as they get rid of, but it might be on lesser term, and it might be on players that they think fit the team better. Because as it stands, Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons eat up almost $70 million of their cap space every season. So maybe they are looking to add better pieces that fit better around Tobias Harris. And it is pretty much $70 million on the dot that they are going to be taking up collectively next year. Ben Simmons has 4 more years left. Tobias Harris has 3. But in this video, we're going to focus on Tobias Harris, and we're going to focus on why the 76ers would potentially trade him, and if I think it is a good idea. I'm not going to be talking about where he could go or mock trades. I just kind of want to talk about the idea of a Tobias Harris trade, what it means for the Philadelphia 76ers, and if I think they should go ahead with it or will go ahead with it. So, as I mentioned, I think the big thing for Philadelphia is they are realizing that their current group of players around Joel Embiid is not going to be a group that can get them a title. It doesn't fit together. They have some bad contracts on this team. There's no doubt about that. Ben Simmons, although good at his current ability and his inability to improve his jump shot, which seems like it'll never happen at this point now, he's an overpay. He's not a max contract type guy. He's very good. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. He's a borderline to above borderline all-star player, but he's not a max contract guy. He's just not. You need more offensively from a max contract guy, and I've said the same thing about Rudy Gobert before. Rudy Gobert is a special player. He's a top 5, top 6 center in the league. He's one of the best defensive players in the league, one of the best rim protectors we will ever see in the game of basketball, but his offensive game is just so limited. Your max contract guys need to be good on both ends of the floor or absolutely elite on the offensive end. Absolutely elite, like Bradley Beal type levels elite. And he can still give you a little bit of defense too when he doesn't have to do literally everything on offense. But point being, right now Joel Embiid is the 3rd highest paid player on the Philadelphia 76ers. That's a problem. That is a big problem. Now that means Joel Embiid's contract is good from when he signed it. He's getting paid $31.5 next year and $33.6 the year after, which is a very fine deal for Joel Embiid. But you're paying Ben Simmons $31.59 and Tobias Harris $36 million next year out of a payroll that is $127 million. You could shave $67.6 million off of Philadelphia's payroll next year, giving them pretty much a max slot to be able to add to this team. And that doesn't count as well that they have a non-guaranteed George Hill contract of $10 million, which they can get rid of as well and free up and $77 million in cap space. So they could be left with $50 million in cap space for next season. They could have a ton of room to navigate, assuming that they don't take any salaries back in these trades, which is unlikely. So that's kind of the motivation for the 76ers to trade away Tobias Harris. Now this is no knock on Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is a good player. I like Tobias Harris as a player, but Tobias Harris is not worth a max contract. Everyone knows that. Everyone knew that when he signed the deal. Everyone knew that before he was going to sign the deal. Everyone knows that after he signed the deal. That's just a fact. Now, Tobias Harris is good. He's a good 3rd option on a contending team alongside 2 stars. He's someone that can average 18, 19 points a night. He can give you some decent wing defense. He's a fairly good spacer, can hit some threes for you, a good rebounder, an improving playmaker, although not a great one, but an improving one for sure, and is decent off the dribble. His mid-range game has improved over the years, and under Doc Rivers has been very good, but he's not a max contract guy. And so I think that's the understanding for the 76ers right now is they're at an understanding for Tobias Harris is not a max contract guy, and he's now at age 29. I think he's a lot older than a lot of people think he is. So they still have 3 years left on this deal, and they want to try and get rid of this money, and they want to try and get rid of this Ben Simmons money to try and build a better team around Joel Embiid via the assets they get back in the trade and via whatever they can do via other trades or free agency with the cap space they would be able to get to build a better team and a potential contending team around Joel Embiid. I think they've come to the understanding, Daryl Morey in the front office and the coaching staff even in Philadelphia, that this team is not a title contender. They're an extremely good regular season team. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league, and they're still a top team in the Eastern Conference. This is still a top 3, top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, But this team's not getting past Milwaukee. This team's not getting past Brooklyn. Quite frankly, this team couldn't even get past the Atlanta Hawks. And they're probably only going to get better, assuming they retain John Collins this offseason. That's not to mention that Boston could be better next year. Miami could be better. Toronto is going to be back in Toronto and healthy and could be better again as well. So the 76ers are just not in a spot where they're going to be able to contend for a title. And I think that they should be. They've waited. They had the process of 5-6 years. And you would have expected a better outcome out of it. But instead, now they're left with their first and second highest paid guys in the team that are on maxes, not deserving of maxes. And they're not able to beat the Atlanta Hawks to get themselves into the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think that's the thought process of the Philadelphia 76ers. If I'm being quite honest, I don't think Tobias Harris is going to get traded. I don't think there's going to be that many people that are interested in him at that money. So I don't think they're really going to be able to get that much back for him. And for that reason, I don't think they're going to trade him. And for that reason, I think that's why Ben Simmons hasn't been traded yet. Because Ben Simmons and the Philadelphia 76ers want a big return for him. They want a James Harden-esque type return. And they're just not going to get that. At Ben Simmons' peak before the playoffs, they weren't going to get that for Ben Simmons, purely due to the fact that his offensive game has not improved enough. It still hasn't. It looks like it never will at this point, as he's now at age 25. And he has 4 more years on a max deal, and he's just not worth that. Now, he still has upside. You can still get assets back for him relative to Tobias Harris. But you're not going to get a fire sale like you did with James Harden. You're just not going to get that type of return. And so the Philadelphia 76ers have put themselves in a spot where they are a really good team, but they're not a great team. And that's fine, but when you tank for 5 years, and then you've got your guys and you commit to your group, you would have hoped that this team could have been someone that could get to some NBA Finals and try and win a title. But as of right now, it really doesn't look that way until some significant roster changes happen. That is my thoughts on the Tobias Harris contract, or trade talk rumors, and what could happen with the Philadelphia 76ers moving forward, what they're trying to do this offseason. As I've mentioned here on the screen, I think Houston, Dallas, and New Orleans are some teams that could be interested if Tobias Harris does go. Houston being young, Dallas having some cap space and looking to move on for Kristaps, and the Pelicans maybe having to swap with Brandon Ingram, and then Philadelphia get a perimeter scorer, and the Pelicans get someone who can space the floor a bit more, play a bit more off ball, and fit better with Zion, and Tobias Harris can slide back up to the 3. But those are just very, very rough ideas. I don't think they're anything that's going to happen because I don't think anyone is willing to give up that much for Tobias Harris. But I just wanted to mention that real quick. If you guys did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I will be continuing to keep you up to date on all things trades and free agency throughout the offseason, as we are now only a few hours away from NBA free agency starting. And so be sure to stay tuned on the channel tonight and subscribe to the channel if you want all of my updates on every single move that happens in NBA free agency and trades throughout the offseason on this channel. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one.